You are seeing them on campus. You are seeing them around town. Their question for you is simply, are you registered to vote? With the 2012 presidential election coming up fast, we've already seen how weather can impact the campaign. The Republican National Convention scheduled a postponement on August 27th due to Tropical Storm Isaac. And with a threat of severe storms on September 6th, the Democratic National Convention that was originally scheduled as an outdoor ceremony was forced indoors. Now those issuing the question to citizens, are you a registered voter? Perhaps should be issuing another question. Would weather affect your turnout on Election Day? The Weather Channel has been analyzing a national survey that focuses on the subject and has already vocalized some of their key findings. After surveying 1,600 registered voters, one of their main findings was that rain and colder temperatures could keep 5 to 6% of voters home in the western states, such as Colorado, Nevada, and California. The biggest stopper to voter turnout in the Northeast, however, was ice on the roads. Surprisingly, 10 to 12% of registered voters 55 and older said icy conditions would likely diminish their turnout. The Weather Channel also looked closely at political parties and determined more registered Democrats, 27%, say that bad weather conditions would impact whether they make it to the polls than registered Republicans, 20%. Most importantly, the survey concluded that 35% of undecided voters within the survey were more likely to not show up on Election Day due to implementations in the weather. But what about you? I took to the streets to see what registered voters had to say about the weather and their personal attendance on Election Day.
I'm affiliated with the Republican Party, and I think severe weather would have a negative impact on voter turnout.
I am an independent Republican, and if there was horrible weather, I would probably not go to the polls.
I'm affiliated with the Democratic Party, and even if there was severe weather, I would still show up to vote.
I'm a registered Republican, and if there was a snowstorm or some horrible weather, I probably still would go out and vote. If I was caught in a tornado, no. But if there was just like a little bit of rain or a little bit of snow, that would not really affect me too much. I would just go just to vote.
My surveyed selection, I'll admit, was much smaller than the Weather Channel's 1,600. But are those numbers surprising? I interviewed Dr. Michael Berkman, Director of Undergraduate Studies in the Department of Political Science, to get a better understanding of voter attendance.
So, if you think about voters in two groups, you think about them as core voters and peripheral voters. Core voters will vote no matter what comes up. Peripheral voters will vote, but maybe they won't. And they are much easier to deter from getting to the polls. They're much less committed to getting to the polls. So let's take, for example, somebody who hasn't really made up their mind yet. Somebody who really hasn't made up their mind yet is clearly not a core voter. Core voters all know exactly who they're going to vote for. And so it doesn't take much to keep them away. Democratic supporters tend to be more peripheral than Republicans are. It's not absolute, but there's good evidence to support it that Democrats draw from groups, for example, young voters, who are more peripheral, who are less likely to turn out.
All right, Dr. Berkman, but is voter attendance really that important? Is it possible that weather could determine an election?
In 2000, if it hadn't rained in the Florida Panhandle, perhaps Al Gore would have gotten another 500 or 600 votes. That's all he would have needed. Would have been a different election outcome.
A total different election outcome? Well, this could be possible, but I also talked to a voter registration volunteer to hear what he had to say about weather and not letting it deter your attendance.
So it's very important whether it's raining, snowing, or it's greatest day, outside, to still come out and vote. Yes, but weather does play a factor, but do not forget there's the importance of going out to vote.
Well, there you have it. You may be a registered voter, but come rain or come shine, it will be up to you to turn out on Election Day.